not as cool as these guys. I have to read off my paper. I grew up in a Christian home where I believed in and accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. My mom was usually the one home since my dad worked, so I kind of favored him because he wasn't home during the day a lot. He also wasn't the one who punished me, so that also made me kind of follow after him. As I got older, I don't really remember, but I think I was about 8, I started to notice that my dad didn't go to church with us anymore. He would go jogging instead. One day we went for a walk, just the two of us. I asked him why he didn't go to church anymore. He told me something along the lines of that he didn't believe anymore. He told me all the things that he questioned about the faith. By the end of that walk, I was convinced that the Bible is just a bunch of stories. My dad was a huge influence on my life at that time, so it was very easy to convince. I came back a non-believer from that walk. I started swearing, listening to bad music. I didn't believe in the devil, and I somewhat believed in reincarnation. All this time, my mom was extremely worried and had several people praying for me. My mom was, and still is, a very strong Christian woman and is a very influential person in my life today. Sadly, that wasn't the case then. The bottom line is I was very confused. My mom said one thing and my dad said another. I lived like this for I can't remember how long. But I do know after a little while, I really started to notice an empty feeling. I realized I had a purpose and a reason for life before, and heaven to look forward to. I also had someone who was always there to help me. At that time, these were the only benefits I knew of. Now I know a lot more. But the underlying fact was I felt so empty. One night, I remember being so desperate for answers, I just craved a purpose. I could feel the hole that God had once filled. I knelt beside my bed and prayed God would show himself to me once again. At this point, I had figured out that Jesus was the only one that could fill that hole. Because my dad had put so much unbelief in my heart, I believed that he was used by the devil to do so. I had a hard time believing it when Jesus had done for me. But at least I had come to recognize that God was real at that point. I could feel that hole that had once been filled. I can't remember exactly how God did it, but I did come to accept Jesus once again. Since then, I can't imagine being that empty again. I now feel purposeful and have hope for the future. I also know I will go to heaven after I die. Only by accepting Jesus as the Christ is this possible. That brings me a huge comfort. I hope and pray that if any of you haven't accepted Jesus as the Christ, you will, and that you will come to see how empty you are without him. He created us with a God-shaped hole in all of our hearts, so that we crave to be loved by him. Nothing else will fill that, although a lot of people think something else will. If you have come to realize that Christ is the one you've been craving, then I encourage you to talk to a leader and learn how he can fill your life. I recently was baptized to show obedience to Christ by publicly proclaiming my faith. This was an amazing experience, and I hope everyone has or will choose to experience this in their life too. Don't go on being empty, but be filled by the love of Christ. Thank you.